thing on? Hi. Good afternoon, or morning, or evening, whatever time it may be where you are at. I'm bored, so I'm going to read to you from, is this showing up backwards? I can't pronounce it backwards, but it's Jacqueline Susann's Valley of the Dolls. It's the Newmarket 15th anniversary edition. Woohoo! I mean, look, she had herself put on her, they didn't do that back then, 1966, 2 years after I was born. And I think the movie premiered in 1967 on my birthday. So, yeah, like that was a great deal. Anyway, let us begin. This, can you see it? Is a picture of the original hardcover edition of The Valley of the Dolls, published in March 1966. The book that made publishing history and made Jacqueline Susann the best-known, best-loved novelist ever to capture the imagination and satisfy the hunger for great storytelling of countless of millions of readers. Now, for the first time in more than a decade, this tremendous triumph is back in hardcover to be read, relished. I'm like, refished? What? Relished and treasured. Here is the totally candid story of the dazzling glitter and the gutter realities of show business as it was never told before. Here's the searing saga of how women make it to the top in a world dominated by men and the price they pay for their success. A story with even more meaning for women today than when it first enthralled a vast public. Here are the three heroines who achieved immortality on these pages. The icily flawless yet sensually vulnerable Anne Wells, desperately in love with Mr. Wrong. The beautiful sex goddess Jennifer North, whose fabulous body became her ultimate betrayal. And the magnificently talented, emotionally tormented singer-actress Neely O'Hara, whose career was a roller coaster ride to heaven and hell. Here is your chance to enter the Valley of the Dolls, an experience of ecstasy and agony, drama and degradation, gripping enthrallment, and the final shattering revelation that has haunted the memories of a world of readers and that you will never forget. Can you imagine? In the back flap, Jacqueline Susann was fresh from her own career in the show business when she sat down to write Valley of the Dolls. After the publication of this giant bestseller, she never returned to the theater that was her first love, but instead went on to become American fiction's greatest superstar with novels that have taken a permanent place in the American imagination. The last chapter of her extraordinary career was a superbly courageous secret struggle which began in 1962 against the cancer which ultimately claimed her life. In private life, she was the wife of television and motion picture producer Irving Mansfield for almost 30 years. She died on September 21st, 1974 at the age of 53. Sounds pretty good to me. I've read the book. I've seen the movie. I've seen the parody movie. I've read the bios of Jackie, which is how Miss Susann is known to her really big fans. So here's the frontispiece. I think I'm just going to take the dust jacket off because it's kind of not in great shape. Oh, and here's the spine. Can you see it? Yeah, you can see it. I don't care about the spine. And it's copyright 1966 by Jacqueline Susann to Josephine, who sat at my feet positive I was writing a sequel, and Josephine was her dog. She became, her first book was about her dog, a poodle, in 1962 called Every Night, Josephine. But most of all to Irving, the aforementioned Irving Mansfield. Valley of the Dolls. And here's the prelude, which is actually a poem, or the preface. You've got to climb to the top of Mount Everest to reach the Valley of the Dolls. It's a brutal climb to reach that peak which so few have seen. You never knew what was really up there, but the last thing you expected to find was the Valley of the Dolls. You stand there waiting for the rush of exhilaration you thought you'd feel, but it doesn't come. You're too far away to hear the applause and take your bows, and there's no place left to climb. You're alone, and the feeling of loneliness is overpowering. The air is so thin you can scarcely breathe. You've made it, and the world says you're a hero. But it was more fun at the bottom when you started, with nothing more than hope and the dream of fulfillment. All you saw was the top of that mountain. There was no one to tell you about the Valley of the Dolls. But it's different when you reach that summit. But it's different when you reach the summit, The elements have left you battered, deafened, sightless, and too weary to enjoy your victory. Ann Wells had never meant to start the climb, yet unwittingly she took her first step the day she looked around and said to herself, "This is not enough. I want something more." And when she met Lion Burke, it was too late to turn back. And September 1945. The temperature hit 90 degrees the day she arrived. New York was steaming, an angry concrete animal caught unawares in an unseasonable hot spell. But she didn't mind the heat or the littered midway called Times Square. She thought New York was the most exciting city in the world. The girl at the employment agency smiled and said, "You're a cinch, even with no experience. All the good secretaries are away in those big paying defense jobs. But honest, honey, if I had your looks, I'd head straight for John Powers or Conover." "Who are they?" Ann asked. "They run the top modeling agencies in town." "That's what I'd love to do, only I'm too short, not skinny enough. But you're just what they're looking for." I think I'd rather work in an office," Ann said. "Okay, but I think you're crazy." She handed Ann several slips of paper. "Here, they're all good leads, but go to Henry Bellamy first. He's a big theatrical attorney. His secretary just married John Walsh." When Ann failed to react, the girl said, "Now don't tell me you never heard of John Walsh." "He's won 3 Oscars, and I just read he's going to get Garbo out of retirement and direct a comeback picture." Ann smiled, assured the girl she would never forget John Walsh. "Now, you get the idea of the setup and the kind of people you'll meet," the girl went on. "Bellamy and Bellows, a real great office. They handle all kinds of big clients. And Myrna, the girl who married John Walsh, she can touch you in the looks department. You'll grab a live one right away." "A live what?" "Guy. Maybe even husband?" The girl looked back at Ann's application. "Say, where did you say you're from? It is America, isn't it?" Ann smiled. "Lawrenceville. It's at the start of the Cape, about an hour from Boston by train. And if I'd wanted a husband, I could have stayed right there. In Lawrenceville, everyone gets married as soon as they get out of school. I'd like to work for a while first." "And you left such a place?" "Here, everyone is looking for a husband, including me. Maybe you could send me to this Lawrenceville with a letter of introduction." You mean you'd marry just anyone?" Ann was curious. "Not anyone, just anyone who'd give me a nice beaver coat, a part-time maid, and let me sleep until noon each day. The fellows I know not only expect me to keep my job, but at the same time I should look like Carol Landis in a negligee while I whip up a few gourmet dishes." When Ann laughed, the girl said, "All right, you'll see. Wait till you get involved with some of those Romeos in this town. I bet you rush for the fastest train back to Lawrenceville. And on the way, don't forget to stop by and take me with you." She would never go back to Lawrenceville.